How you doing, Pat? Good morning.
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
These guys probably will ask, so I'll just get it out of the way. But do you want to provide an update on Coach Peterson before we dive in?
Coach Peterson, progressing well, and I, I I don't know the return or his return or anything like that. I just know that everything is positive and moving in the right direction.
Well, good to hear. Do you want to just start, Coach, by just recapping these last two home games, and then we'll get to kind of the opponents this week?
Sure. Obviously, two big home games for us and two big home wins. St. Thomas came in; they were 2-0 in the league. They had won two games at home, and then Western Illinois coming into the game. They had won they had beaten North Dakota State, I think it was, at their place last week before the break. So it was two tough opponents. I thought our kids defended awesome. I thought they did a great job on the defensive end of the floor, and I think we're really starting to hit our stride offensively. Just moving the ball and sharing the ball and getting great team shots. It was a big win for us, and in that game, we made 14 threes in the St. Thomas game, and then 10 in the Western Illinois game. And when we're shooting the ball like that and we're really guarding on the other end, which is what happened, then good things happen for this team. And we've had some ups and downs during the course of the game, but one of the things, this team has been resilient. They've had a new added type of focus since we've come back from the Christmas break, and we just continue to play and play and play and compete, and things go our way at the end.
You want to preview Thursday a little bit?
Yeah, Thursday. Obviously, now we're trying to take our show on the road. We're going to see definitely if our defense travels on the road here. So we're excited about that challenge. North Dakota is a tough place to play. I believe they're 0-2 in the league right now. So we know we're going to get their best game. Coach Sather's teams are always tough. They're smart. They execute. So it's going to be a game that we are really going to have to be focused in, and we're really going to have to compete for 40 minutes to give ourselves a chance to win the game, because they're a tough team and they're playing at home, and they don't want to lose any home games in the league, just like we didn't want to lose any home games in the league. So that we're definitely going to get their best effort.
Eric, you want the first round this go around?
Sure. Hi, Coach. Thanks for taking the time. Happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So just first thing, the offense just seemed to get into a rhythm this past weekend. What were a few things that were really working for you guys offensively?
Well, Casey Gaspar does the offense for us, and he's done a really good job of just narrowing the focus of what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And I just think that we're getting our identity offensively, and I think that everybody has really kind of not bought in, because we've been bought in from the beginning. It's just starting to click for us, I would say, and I think that credit goes to Casey for narrowing the focus, and a lot of credit goes to our guys for their willingness to give of themselves for the betterment of the team. And that shows when you have five guys scoring double figures, and you have a lot of assists, and you're just really working to get the best team shot, a great team shot, instead of just a good shot. And that's what we're doing. We are really working to get great team shots right now.
And just kind of building off that, how much confidence does it give you as a coaching staff when AJ gets into foul trouble in the first half, and then Cruz just goes off, and then our night Tassos leads the team in scoring, that you have all these scoring options?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, we don't want AJ to get into any more foul trouble where he has to sit for 16 minutes in the first half. We don't want that. But it says something about this team that on any given night, it could be any guy. It could be Mason, it could be Cruz, it could be Toss, it could be AJ. I think that's just this team. And, these are veteran guys. They've been through the league. They understand what it's about. And so we're definitely happy to have that type of balance on our team. And It was Cruz the other night when AJ got in foul trouble, and Toss, and Mason. While Mason probably didn't score as many points, but he did a phenomenal job on the defensive end of the floor against two really good offensive players both nights.
And just what can that do for a team when a senior such as Mason just takes that charge and really leads the team there on the defensive end?
Well, it doesn't show up in the stat line, but it shows up in our locker room, on our bench. Those guys understand that Mason is the catalyst. He leads us defensively, and when he is really, really engaged and flying around and stuff, it just flows back to the rest of the guys. So that's really been the thing, and Mason's taken on that role, and I'm happy for him. I'm proud of him. He's given a little bit of his offensive game to take on a different role, but it's a role we needed for us to have the type of success that we want to have.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned wanting to take your defense on the road. Is that the main focus this week in practice, or are there other areas that you're also trying to improve on?
Well, I think that the one thing that we always try to improve on every single week is we're not the biggest team in the league, but we have to rebound the basketball. And when we really compete on the glass, our team is pretty good. I thought that this last weekend, once we came back from the Christmas break, our guys just, we had some time to recharge, and once we got back, our focus was really good, scouting report wise, just on how we're guarding actions and how we're guarding players. We were really dialed in both nights on that, and it's going to have to be that way to really have success on the road.
And just with Coach Peterson being out, you've spoken about Coach Casper Bauer, and just all the coaches on your coaching staff. How proud are you of them, of just the effort that they've given this past month, and seeing the fruits of that come with 2 wins this past weekend?
Yeah, Casey Casper Bauer, Brandon Ubel, Casey Brueggemann, Nate Durner, Josh Calvert. We've all during this process had to take on a little bit different role, and those guys have been phenomenal. We wouldn't be where we are without those guys, for sure. So we've all had to take on a little bit different role, and I'm really happy for them. And they're doing a great job with our players. They're doing a great job in helping to prepare our players, and that's why we had success this past weekend. And it's because of them, and it's because of our players being able to focus in and understand and take what we do from scouting report wise to the floor on game night. And we were able to do that. So, Casey and Brandon and Casey and Nate and Josh, they've done a phenomenal job. And I'm really happy that they're a part of what we're doing.
Great. Thanks, Coach.
Go ahead, Michael.
Hey, Pat. Just to follow up on Coach Peterson real quick. Obviously, have you been able to speak to him directly? You mentioned a couple of weeks ago that you didn't speak to him. You're just waiting for updates from his wife. Have you been able to speak to him since?
Yeah, I have, Michael. We've talked a little bit more. He's feeling so much better. So, he's been able to watch practices, and we talk about that. So, yeah, we've been in communication. So, like I said, all things are positive. I don't know what the return date is, but I know that he's feeling better because he's watching a lot of film and sending us a lot of notes, and that's great for us too. So we're definitely getting his input.
Is he recovering at home right now?
Yes, he is back home.
Okay. When did he get out of the hospital? Do you happen to know that?
I don't know the exact date, Michael, but I know he was home for the Christmas. He was home by Christmas. So yeah. But I don't think I can remember that. I know he was home for Christmas. He's been home since Christmas. So
sure. Okay. Yeah. And just to move on to some basketball stuff, obviously the 3-point shooting, you guys lead the summer league in 3-point percentage, but the attempts aren't quite at the top. I mean, is that a result of you're looking for the right shots, or do you feel like that's maybe you're looking to find a little bit more shots from the outside the arc throughout the rest of the year?
Yeah, I don't know if we're looking to find more shots. I think we're looking to just find great shots, great team shots. And I think that that's where we're getting. And when we get great team shots and our guys can step into those shots and they're uncontested and they're good looks off of an extra pass then that's when our percentages are going to be really good, and we're going to make a lot of those because we do shoot the ball very well.
Not a ton of minutes, but you found some minutes for Miles Branch in these past couple of games. What has been the reason for his insertion into the lineup?
Well, we like I said, we're not the biggest team, so we needed some front court help, and so we've started to play Miles a little bit more, and he's played he's played 2 college basketball games now, so I think he's growing as a player, and he'll get better and better as the league goes on. And hopefully he can give us more minutes so that we can rest some of our frontline guys like Damani and Toss, and he can give us valuable minutes. And I know that he will. He really wants to. We just kind of threw him into the fire, and now he's trying to figure it out. So,
yeah. You sort of alluded to it earlier. Last year is sort of scoring by committee, and this year's pretty similar, where you could have a different top scorer pretty much every game. But, the one that, obviously Mason had a lot of games where he was the top scorer last year, and that's happened a little bit less often. But, how has he sort of like grown into maybe the role of not being one of those guys who's going to be at the top of the scoreboard every single game? And, how has he sort of adjusted to that and maybe put more emphasis into the defensive side of the ball?
Well, I think that Mason, just getting to know him, I think that Mason just wants to win, Michael. And I think that's what drives him. And so he doesn't have to be the leading scorer or whatever. He just wants to win. And his role right now is to be the defensive stopper. He's going to guard the best wing on the other team. And he just wants to win. And those kind of players, you have those type of players who can sacrifice a little bit of their offense because we need them to do something else in their role. That's what wins championships. And I think that Mason has really given of his offensive game to be one of the best defenders on this team and maybe in this league. I don't know. But that says a lot about your team and your players on your team when they can sacrifice a little bit of themselves for the betterment of the team. And that's what Mason has done. And so I think that Mason is he's a kid. He wants to win, and he'll do whatever it takes to win. And those are the type of guys you want in your program.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
Eric, any follow-ups? Recap of your holiday here and the road trip, and then we'll talk North Dakota State.
Yeah. Oh, so go back to the first conference games even?
No, you don't have to go back that far.
Okay.
I mean, you guys followed along a little bit, right? You guys haven't been completely a miss. So I don't think you need to recap the whole thing, but break's a little unique is all, if there's anything you want to share there.
Yeah. I'm just glad we got everybody home for the holidays, and maybe, I don't know if it's more important because both are important, but we also got them all back, and we got them all back on time. So a lot of other teams were dealing with travel issues. So I was grateful for that, but no, it was good. It was good to take a little break. It's funny because we played 2 really good games to start the conference play. And it was jokingly like, are you guys sure we should leave for Christmas? Because we were just really kind of starting to click and put 4 quarters together. But it was a good break for everybody. And then the challenge is to come back and regroup and then try to pick up right where you left it off. And then you have to go on the road and you have to go play 2 teams that, regardless of record, I just think that they play really hard. And I think that our league continues to get better and better. And so we talked a lot about, we don't take anybody lightly. We respect everybody. And we're going to have to do that the rest of the year because all these teams are hungry for wins, and they're going to give USD their best shot, we believe. So we go on the road to play St. Thomas, and again, just didn't think we got off to a great start in that game. But our defense kept us in it, and we had a great solid second quarter defensively. And so that's going to be something I think we continue to hang our hats on, because when it just doesn't click for us on the offensive end, it's great to be able to fall back on that. So despite, I don't think we were playing well at all. By halftime, we were down 2. And I think that was a good spot to be in then. And then the third quarter really came out firing and took control. So great lesson learned for us to how to hold on to a lead at the end of a game. I think good teams win in a lot of different ways. And that one was not pretty by any means. And we didn't shoot the ball great. We made enough shots, I think, to win, but with our ability to hold on to the lead at the end and then had a couple key turnovers that gave them opportunities. So we've got to be able to just execute a lot better. Morgan Hansen goes and makes a play and then makes all of her free throws. So we come away with the win. Once again, was pretty pumped about Walker Demers. I thought she gave us a really good second half. We relied on her going inside. They didn't really have an answer for her, because I think Grace was trying to get things going, and I think teams are just keying in on her and just if you're watching, they're just really sucking in on her and making things difficult. So we've got to have other options. And I think Walker lately has been the one to step up and do that. And then we go on Saturday to play at Western Illinois. I just think that team was really hungry for a win. I also think they're just really dangerous because they're small, but they're really scrappy, and they lead the league in steals, and they forced a ton of turnovers, and hasn't really been, actually for the most part, turnovers have really been a strong suit for us. We've really been limiting ourselves and doing a good job. But when the pressure turns up, we've got to be able to handle that better. And that's been an on and off thing for us. We haven't always been consistently great at handling pressure. So it got to us, and having 19 turnovers was really, for me, the story of the game. I mean, we took 17 less shots than they did. And the crazy part was, once again, we get down in a big hole, 20, and we battle back to cut it to 6 on the Walker 3 in the fourth quarter. And so it's amazing. Down 6 with 3 minutes to go, you give yourself a chance, despite, again, not having a very pretty game. So I think we were relying on the 3 a little bit too much in the first half in that game. That's why we shot so many, but we had so much foul trouble, and we had our big kids on the bench. We didn't really have that inside presence anymore. So we settled, I think, for a few too many, and just didn't shoot it great. So, but again, I think the story of the game was really us and our ability to handle the ball against pressure, and our passing, and we had like 7 offensive fouls on moving screens, and we just didn't carry ourselves great, and we still gave ourselves a chance. So a lot of good lessons learned, and continue to move forward.
You want to talk Thursday real quick? I know you won't get
sure.
to Saturday, but maybe just one opponent preview for
Sure. Yeah. UND has just continued to get better year after year. So they have the league's leading scorer in Casey Baravich, 22 points a game. She's also third in assists in the league, like 4.3 or something per game. So needless to say, a lot of the offense is going to go through her. She's got to get a lot of touches. She's going to make a lot happen. She takes a ton of shots. And so key focus for us, we're definitely going to have to limit her. It's going to be a tough task, I think, to say we're going to completely shut her down, but we have to limit her and how much she impacts the game. They also start 5 seniors. I think that is just so invaluable that people just don't really pay enough attention to. They start 5 seniors, 3 of which are 5th-year kids. And I just think you win with seniors. And they really should have beaten NDSU here this last weekend. They were really in charge for most of that game. So I think they're really talented. I think they have this really good core of seniors that start, and then the kids they bring off the bench, it's like they bring a couple of athletes off the bench, and all of a sudden they have got a couple kids that can get to the rim and kind of create their own shot. So they get to the offensive glass pretty well. I just think they're steady. They're really well coached. I think it's going to be a good challenge for us. They're going to be a tough team, especially when you're looking at our group with the sort of inexperience we have. Now, I think we're a bit more comfortable at home versus the road, I think, so far. I think that's pretty normal for a young team. But again, with only 4 games under your belt in conference play, it's a bit hard to tell right now.
Questions, gentlemen. Who wants the first one of 2023? You just want me to keep going? I mean, I could. Michael, come on. Let's do it.
I could take it, yeah. Kayla, you mentioned that obviously turnovers haven't been really much of an issue for pretty much the entire year, but during the conference season, it's been 16, 19, 17. There's been quite a few big turnover games. I guess what have you sort of seen on tape about that, and what are you sort of seeing that's maybe relating to that?
Well, it's something that really at the beginning of the season, we had talked about that being one of our couple of things that we were going to key in on. And again, like you said, I think up until conference play, we did a good job of limiting it. It's something we emphasize every day in practice. We track every day in practice. The entire team knows at what point in practice how many turnovers we've committed already. And so it's something that we emphasize. Now what we've done is sharpen that up and take it to the next level. So instead of allowing so many turnovers before a consequence, we've limited that number even lower now, just to make them more aware of, okay, we're halfway through practice and this is how many turnovers we have. And now I think you got to give yourselves your time to really understand. I think sometimes you go back to with a young group, you've got to understand sort of like press break, for example. That was sort of our Achilles heel for a little bit there. So it's understanding what we're trying to accomplish. I think we put ourselves in just really tough spots sometimes with not understanding where the next pass should go, where the next easy pass should be. And instead we kind of put ourselves into traps. So I think the first part is teaching that and understanding that. And then it's feeling the heat. It's feeling the heat in a game. It's feeling the heat in practice, and then actually making a good decision out of it. And I think you could tell, I think early, maybe 3, 4 games, 5 games ago, how we got rushed, we got sped up, and we just didn't make good decisions under pressure. And it's going to be something that we continue to emphasize. And I just know we have to do a much better job of it. Now our passing and our decision making was one thing, but like I said, we had 7 offensive fouls, whether they were from screening, from a couple just like charges that we just drove right into people. We have to clean that piece up, because you take those away, now you're down to 12, and now you're much closer, if not right on, to what we're actually averaging. So I think we emphasize screening, and then when we go and emphasize screening, we took it to the next level, which was go head hunt to find that person and started plowing people over rather than setting legal screens. And so it's just a learning curve, and we've got to just limit. There's going to be slippage, there's going to be mistakes made. We've got to limit them as much as possible.
And sometimes when teams play fast, obviously turnovers are just kind of a part of it. And with how well you guys were playing offensively in the first 2 games before the break, I mean, is it in a weird way, is the turnover sort of just a result of maybe you guys finding your rhythm offensively or finding your speed on the floor with sort of the person you're working with?
Well, and I've said this before, it's really a balance for us, because I mean, we have some depth. I don't know that we have the depth that we thought we would have a couple of months ago. So, but it's this balance of when we get stops, and we're pretty good in transition offense. We shoot a ton of threes. We're leading the league in 3-point percentage. That's really a big benefit for us to be able to do that and score early. At the same time, when it turns into track meet, I don't think that benefits us much anymore. So we're getting better at it, of having that feel. Coaches are having to control that a little bit, but as players, we're getting a better feel for, okay, now we've gotten stops, and now we've missed a couple in transition. Now they're running it right back down at us. We've got to be able to control tempo a little bit more and just go and take a great shot, or move the ball around and make them guard for 25 seconds rather than making it easy on them. So it's a constant conversation. I think they're related, and I think in some weird way, and we've just got to be able to handle pressure much better, especially on the road, but no matter what, but especially on the road.
This has sort of been a sore subject in recent years, but I mean, obviously the Summit League, has sort of been dominated by 2 teams over the past 5 years, and there's been a lot more close games this year. I mean, are you kind of seeing anything with the Summit League in terms of how it's developed, or is it just sort of a fluke at this point of the season?
Yeah, no, I think that everybody's getting better. It's funny because you anticipate that, you look at who's coming back, and I know these days with the transfer portal, there's a lot of uncertainty going into a season. So the fact that you do preseason rankings it's kind of laughable, because nobody really knows. Half these rosters have turned over. There's 3 new coaches in the league. There's just so much uncertainty. So I get you have to do the preseason rankings. There's so much unknown, and I think when I anticipated, though, some of these teams being better, I've been watching, I've been keeping tabs on them. You see who's returning, you see how many seniors are returning or how many starters. And I knew there was going to be far more question marks for us, right, compared to all these other teams. And so the cool thing now is to watch and keep tabs on everybody throughout the non-conference. And you see, I still think Oral Roberts is extremely talented, and for them to go toe to toe with a lot of Power 5s, I know they didn't win. I don't know the record now, 4-11 maybe. It's the best 4-11 team in the country. Like, that team is really good. They've just played a really tough schedule, but NDSU beats Minnesota at home, right? We know South Dakota State has had several top 25 wins, a top 10 win under their belts, and so. But I will say this: you go and face St. Thomas, you go and face Western Illinois. If those teams are supposed to be towards the bottom of the league, it's amazing, because those teams play really stinking hard. It's like nobody ever told them they should be at the bottom of the league. Everybody's they've got great veteran coaches. They're getting their kids revved up, and it's exactly right. It's not as top heavy as it used to be. I mean, even our counterparts up north, they're not blowing people out the way that they used to be. Now, I think our first 2 games are a little bit misleading. I think it was a combination. Our kids were really locked in. I don't think those teams we played shot the ball very well at all, and that's a combination sometimes that makes it look really ugly. I think those teams are better than that, than what they show. 40 points better. I don't know that we're going to have that luxury when we go on the road and play Oral Roberts. So long answer, but I think everybody's getting better, and I think every night's just going to be a battle.
Thank you.
Eric?
Hi, Coach. Happy New Year. Thanks for taking the time. So just first off, with the defense playing well in stretches, like what have they been doing well during those stretches versus like maybe things to improve on during those tough stretches defensively?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's something that we really feel like can be our bread and butter. I mean, certainly it has been the last 5 years to lead the league in points given up per game. And that's really the reason that this team and this program has been so successful. So we're not quite at that stage yet. And so we've got to hold people down a little bit better. But I do feel like we've gotten more disciplined, I would say, more confident in just the way we're guarding the dribble. I think that has been a huge thing. We've really altered how we're guarding some people to be able to provide a little bit more help and really getting way more specific on their personnel. And I think that that's given our kids some confidence. I think you could really see that in the first 2 conference games. 2 teams that were definitely more drivers than shooters. Now that's going to change, I think, with the teams we have coming up here. But I think that's boded really well for us, and our kids have really bought into that. Now we've shaken things up a little bit defensively with throwing 2-3 zones at people, and just for change ups, we had to go to it on Saturday a bit more because of foul trouble. It's not really the style that we want to play, but sometimes you have to adjust. And I like the wrinkle that it throws at people. Sometimes it catches people off guard. So I think that that's been really good. The times that it doesn't go well for us, I think we've got to navigate screens better, as simple as that sounds. I just don't think that we're elite at that yet. And that's been a focus for us this week, as well as rebounding. I think it's all but maybe 2 games that when we out rebound teams, we win. It's just an automatic. And I don't think the St. Thomas game, if I remember right, was that way. Yeah, we got out rebounded by 6. I remember that might have been like the second game all year that didn't fall in line with that. But I just think when we're in tough stretches, it's because we don't finish plays.
And just not finishing those plays, does that affect controlling the tempo, as you mentioned earlier?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, for sure. I think we've talked about that quite a bit. When you can finish plays and go box out and go rebound, those teams are sprinting back in transition defense, right? And we are really good in transition defense. We struggled a lot in the month of December in those non-conference games because we didn't finish plays and we didn't get stops, allowing their teams to either press us or get back and sit in a zone. And for us at that point was a real struggle. And so it was amazing how one led to the next and how much pressure then that put on our offense. Like, we have to go and score now because we keep getting scored on. And it's a bit more controllable, I think, for us and for our young players. And when you think about all the things you have to think about as a player, can be overwhelming. For our young players, if we can simplify it and say, just focus on the defensive end, just focus on getting stops, know your personnel, finish the play and go rebound, then the offense tends to take care of itself a little bit more.
And then just coming off a tough loss Saturday, how do you like the team's response this week in practice?
Oh, it's been good. I think you have to find your balance as a coaching staff too, with what does this team need right now, and being realistic about where we're at and what we showed. And it's kind of amazing that you on Saturday have 19 turnovers and you lose by 9. I mean, you really are right there. And so it's more so getting your kids to understand, especially with the young group. It's sometimes about effort, and that's where we get really intense about it, and that's where we've got to push them to show up and to be ready to go, especially when the game starts. We've got to fix that piece. But I like their attitudes. I think they came in knowing that we've got to get better, knowing that we really shot ourselves in the foot in a way, and that we've got to continue to control what we can to get better. So I like their response. We've got Christmas break here for 1 more week, so we're spending a little bit extra time with them because we have it. And I appreciate them. I think I give them a lot of credit for wanting to come in and keep getting better.